Here are some examples for the absolute value inequality expressions. Okay, so in the past lecture, we basically figured out how to switch around the center in an inequality for the absolute value, and instead of having it just at the origin. So these questions are gonna kind of reflect that, help you practice, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of this concept. All right, let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, express the interval centered around 5 with the window of plus or minus 2 using the absolute value inequality. Again, if you know the formula, that's great. You can just plug it in, but I suggest doing a couple of these from the ground up so that you do make sure that you understand how to do it just in case you do forget the formula. But the formula is very useful, but this is how it's been made, okay? So, let's draw it out. Express the interval centered around 5. So we want it to be centered around 5. Okay, the window is plus or minus 2. This window is 5 plus 2 or 5 minus 2. Here's your window. So now we want to put this into an inequality. We have x in the middle, and it's going to be 5 minus 2 is your lowest. 5 plus 2 is your highest. What's the common value here? Right, you want to get rid of the 5s. Okay? And because you got rid of the 5s on all 3 sections of it, it's going to keep it consistent. It's like saying if x equals 4, x plus 4 is going to equal 9. You did the same thing on either side, so it's okay because it stays equal. Okay, so we did the same thing, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5 on all 3 of these parts. So it should stay the same. Minus 2 is going to be less than x minus 5, which is less than positive 2. And now, we're not done because we want to do the absolute value inequality. And again, if we said, for example, say we had x is less than 1, just like that, how would we turn this into an absolute value? This would turn into the absolute value of x is less than 1. Right? Because any value this way, between here and here, will fit in this inequality right here. So, in the same vein, I put this in parentheses because it's not part of the real question. Okay, so to answer this, we would take this middle part, put it in the inequality, and it would be less than 2. Just kind of like how we did here. And this would be your answer. Nice and easy. Great way to start off this quiz. Alright, number 2. Make sure you can see it. Express the interval 1.5 is less than x, which is less than 4.5, using the absolute value inequality. Now, it's a little bit different from what we're used to dealing with, but bear with me. It's not hard. You just have to understand where it's coming from. So, what did we say was really important about the absolute value? It's the fact that it's symmetrical. Right? So, if you have an absolute value of x, or absolute value of 3, we know that here's 0, here's 3, here's negative 3. This right here is symmetrical. Either way, it's going 3 in either direction. So we have to make sure that it's the same in this case. Since we don't know what the center right now is, let's find the center of this plus this. Why do we do that? Say you have an 80%, say you took 2 tests, and you had 80 and 100. You want to find the center of that. What do? You find the average. Right? So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to add these two together. 4.5 and 1.5 turns into 6, right? So what's 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Now we have our center. Does that kind of make sense? So right now, when they don't give you your center, you have to try to find it. And since they give you these two bounding points, we should know how to find it. So now we have, sorry, just erase this. Let's draw our number line. We know our center is 3. what do we have to add to 3 to get to 4.5? That's right, 1.5. So this is actually 3 plus 1.5. So as you would suspect, because we did find the center, and we went 1.5 units this way, we're going to go 1.5 units to the negative. So this is actually 3 minus 1.5 to arrive at our original 1.5. Okay, so now we have this, and this is what we've been dealing with all along. So we put x in the middle. The highest is 3 plus 1.5. Lowest is 3 minus 1.5. And here we go. What's the common number here? 3. So let's subtract 3 from all three of those. And our answer is negative 1.5 is less than x minus 3, which is less than positive 1.5. See? Now we have equal and symmetrical plus and minus intervals. Okay, let's change this into an absolute value inequality. Put the center, the x, into an absolute value. It's going to be less than 1.5. Okay, see how that worked? It's another one. Express this interval using the absolute value inequality. Okay, same thing here. We don't know our center, so let's find it. 1 1/4 plus 2 3/4 is what? 3 4/4, which is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. There we have our center. So it's actually 2. And how much more do you have to add to get to 2 3/4? It's pretty simple, just 3/4. So it's actually 2 plus 3/4 and, oh, I'm sorry, this is actually x. So x. And how much do you have to add to get to here? 2 minus 3/4. Right? And this is just like what we did before. So now we have the plus and minuses. What's our similar number? It is 2. So I'll subtract 2 from everywhere. And what does that leave us with? Minus 3/4 is less than x minus 2 is less than 3/4. And look, now we have the equal intervals. It's all symmetrical and nice. Change this into an absolute value. We take this, plug it into the absolute value. It's less than 3/4. Boom. Okay. Now they're going to try to make it a little bit trickier. Throw in a little bit of extra words, create a story, get you all sucked into the plot and the characters. Don't fall for it. You're just going to read it, interpret it for the math, and get out of there. Okay, for a certain ride at an amusement park, the rider's height is restricted to be between 42 and 66 inches. Express this height restriction in inches using the absolute value inequality. And we're back. So, let's just draw this out. We know 42 is the lowest you can go. 66 is the highest. And we're trying to find that center, right? So what did we do before? We added 66 and 42. And all of you with your fancy schmancy little calculators can pull those out. But I got my pen and paper. So we got 108. And we divide 108 by 2 and you get 54. I'm going to erase my scratch work. We got 54 is the middle. Okay, if we're going to make this x, how much is this? How much is 66 more than 54? Right? So 54 plus what? 12. That's what I call mental math, people. We got 54 minus 12. So now we have what we're very familiar with. Put x in the middle of the inequalities. 54 plus 12. 54 minus 12. And what do we got here? 54 is our common number. Alright. And this turns out to be negative 12 x minus 54, and 12. So again, nice and symmetrical. And we can turn this into the absolute value. Put this inside the absolute value. And here we go. We've officially changed the center and solved this absolute value inequality. And lastly, the body mass index, BMI, measures the body fat based on a person's height and weight. According to National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, there's the website if you ever feel the urge, the BMI for the normal weight is between 18.5 and 24.9. Express this range using the absolute value inequality. What else? Alright, so again, they give you a lot of words, but all you're looking for is the absolute value inequality, and what do they give you? The two bounding points. So, how are you going to find the center? You're going to take the first bounding point, some more pen and paper math over here, the second bounding point, and you add them. 14, 13, 4. And you want to find half of that. So it's 2, 1.7. Alright, so we found the center. So now here's our number line. Here's our center of 21.7. Here's our highest, 24.9. And our lowest of 18.5. Now, if this was to be x, how much more is 24.9 than 21.7? It's actually 21.7 plus 3.2. Same here. 21.7 minus 3.2. Okay, so now we can just figure it out. We can plug this x. The highest can go is 21.7 plus 3.2. Lowest is 21.7 minus 3.2. And what's our common number here? 21.7. Subtract that. Subtract that. And what are we left with? Minus 3.2, which is less than x minus 21.7, which is less than positive 3.2. Look at here. Nice and symmetrical, right? So, let's put this inside the absolute value. It's less than 3.2. Hopefully, you follow along with me, you had a little fun along the way, and hopefully you know a little bit more of how to solve these kinds of problems.